Hello again. Good morning. This is the second last day of the Chinese New Year here in Malaysia, and I am still at it live here in measuring in Facebook via measuring to Facebook. And what I wanted to do was to show you how I finish off this placemat that we do. We were making yesterday. I showed you how to do the on the in the ditch quilting where we quilted through these lines, and I was showing you how to do that. Yes, and if you did not see it, please go to my Facebook page, Measuring to Fit, or the my YouTube channel. Both also I have uploaded the video to do the tutorial how to do this in the ditch quilting. Yes, and which is beginners friendly, right? So today I'm going to show you how to finish up the borders. This is a rectangle shape. So how to finish off the borders. So this will apply also for a square. That means a square and a rectangle. You can use this method to do the borders. And this way is an easy way. I personally feel it is easy because I think through and I choose to use this method because I have in mind the children. And my participants who take up the beginner's sewing course with me, you only need to have finished part one of my beginner's course, and you will be able to do this placemat with all the quilting as well as doing this border, right? So, but okay, yesterday I forgot to mention that to do quilting, there are many ways of doing. Yeah, so because this particular item is already quite busy with so many colors and so many lines on it, and we quilted in between, right? So the ditches here. So if we don't want the stitches to be seen, right, in my tutorial I showed using a white thread because I want somehow that you can see it better via the camera while my recording, so that it's easier to see. But when you actually do your own quilt, and when you don't want your stitches to be seen, you can use this one. This is called transparent thread. Can go to the sewing supplies shop and look for transparent thread. I think it is not even showing on the camera. You can hardly see the thread because this thread is transparent. So when you use that to do this sewing, it would not be seen, right? So this is one of the option. But if you want your quilting lines to be seen, then of course you can use the normal sewing thread. But when you don't want it to be seen, you can use the transparent thread, right? So let me assure you once again, this project you are able to do when you have finished only part one of the beginner's course, and you are already able to do. Now, how do you get access to my beginner's course for free? You just have to share my tutorial. Share it on your Facebook page. Alert me that you have done it. Yeah, PM me to tell me that you have done it. I will go check it out on your page. And when I've seen it, I will give you access to part one of my beginner's course for free. Yeah, so without further ado, just let me share screen with you. And I hope today we don't have any issue like we did yesterday. Now, to make the border for this placemat, I need to first decide on how wide I would like the border to be. So sorry. Now, to make the border for this placemat, I need to first decide on how wide I would like the border to be. So looking at it, I would want my border, you see it's uneven here and here, it's uneven. I will tell you a little bit more about why it is uneven. It is because this is cotton fabric and this is not cotton, this is satin fabric. See the shining part? And I would certainly, with this, I would really recommend that to do quilting with batting, because how the fabric move, it is best to use cotton fabric. Now, if you want to use satin fabric because it moves, then I really suggest that at the back, the backing, you use an interface to stabilize the fabric before you use any satin or slippery fabric to do quilting. Right? So the result is this uneven border, right? So never mind, we will still try to do what we can, right? And I will want the border, so I have decided I want a 1-inch border. So I've cut out strips of fabric. I'm going to use this red strip to be the border. I want 1 inch, right? So we will need to 1 inch times 4. 4 times of the 1 inch means 4 inches. So I've cut out a what you call a strip that is 4 inches in width, right? And I'm going to do it this way. So I'm at the ironing board to show you. Firstly, I am going to turn it and iron it so that I have a middle crease, which this is actually a similar way to make it to a bias binding. So the whole strip, I'm going to fold it this way so that I iron it down so that I get a middle crease. I can see the middle crease. So this is the whole long strip that I have. So next, after this, I will bring one side, now not to the middle, a little bit less than the middle. So throughout the line, one side I'm going to do this. Right? It is not to the middle line, a little bit less than the middle line. So throughout the whole line, I'm going to iron it this way. So now what about this edge? This edge, I'm going to bring it to the middle, right? To the middle. So one edge, not to the middle, one edge to the middle. That means one side is slightly broader than the other side. Okay, when we sew, you will know what I mean, right? In this, now you turn it to divide it into two. This way, right? So you fold them to make them two. So we still have a 1 inch. My intention was getting a 1 inch border for my placemat. So that's why I say whatever border you want to make, your strip, you have to cut it 4 times more. Right? So 1 inch times 4, I made 4 inch. If you are making a 1/2 inch border, then you just cut 2 inches. So just times 4. Right? So I have got this done, right? So the other strips also I will do. I do not need to show you. So the first thing is you will need to notice, right? So one is less, one is more, right? Right, I'm back from sewing. That's what I did now. I aligned the side that when it went right to the middle. Right, that side, I align it on the top of the fabric and I did align it to the edge of the batting. and I sew. Lock, I sew according to the crease that I've ironed out. On the crease, I sew one straight line down all the way until the end. I lock again. Right? Sew for the both ends. This side as well as this side. I did the same. Both the long ends. Lock, sew down on the crease. Right? It's a straight line because we've ironed it down. Right? So here we still get what we will do is we will turn it over this way. We have 3 layers of fabric, right? We have the top, then we have the batting, and then we have the backing. So we're going to be able to wrap it this way, and we still get a 1-inch border, right? So both ends I sewed. So now what we need to do is we turn this down, turn it properly, right? You can, what we'll call hand sew this, slip this and hand sew this down, up to you, or you can machine sew, right? So what we do is now we sew again in the ditch sewing. We turn this down, make sure it's tight, well wrapped, and we're going to sew in the ditch all the way down. We could turn the whole thing down. We're going to sew in the ditch. The important thing when you sew in the ditch, when you sew here, it must be able to catch your backing. So that is the reason why when we iron, we have one side ironed to the midline and the other side none. So when we turn over, we will have a little bit extra at the back. And so when you are sewing here, you are sure to catch the back. So you must catch the back so that it won't open up. Catch. So when we sew here on the ditch, we must catch the back. So, and I'm not using I'm using a contrasting thread as in white color to sew here so that you can see my sewing here. Normally we will use a coordinating thread. This is my red border. I will use a red and red here, so this side won't be able to see very much. But in this case, because of the camera, I want to show you, I will be using white thread to sew on the ditch so that I can catch it here. I will sew and I will be back to show you. I'm back from sewing on the ditch, right? And I have sewn down the back, see? Right, for both sides. And the back. Some parts will be like this. Yes, that's the back part. So as we do better, we will be able to make this side also nicer. So that's how I get my border, 1-inch border, right? So now for the short side, what do we do with both the short side? It's the same strip that we have ironed, except that to start off, we have to fold this part in, the allowance in a bit, 1/4 inch. Then only we start off here. We fold this in, this part starting, then only we sew this down, right? Up to the end. This part we cut exactly after we have sewn, then only we cut with allowance and fold in both ends. We have to fold in this way. That's the only difference. We are doing basically the same. It's just the starting and the ending. We have to have this fold in, so that when we close it up, it is closed this way with no raw edges showing. Right? So that's how we deal with the raw edges. We fold it down before we sew, and both ends, the starting as well as the ending, for both sides. So I have sewn, as you can see here. I folded this in a little bit and sew down, and at the end I also folded in and I lock. Okay, you ask me why did I not measure measure exactly and cut off my strip. I did not measure and cut off my strip, but I start sewing, sew up until the end. In fact, I sew until the end, right? Take it out with the extra, then only I cut the extra here, then fold it in, come back in and sew one more time. You see, there is a joining here. See, there's an extra thread. So I come back in and I sew, fold this down and sew one more time. Why do I do that? You see, the experience I have with sewing with batting is that the whole fabric moves. So even if I cut exactly, it may not agree. So what I'll do is I had the long strip and I sew right until the end. And I know that was be the extra, then only I cut off the extra and fold it in and do one more time, come in and sew again. So what we want is both end with this allowance folded. Yeah, this allowance here and here. So this side also I did the same. Here and here. Right? Then I'm going to fold over. Just when we fold over, right, this way, that's how we get our edging. Pull it well, our edging without do it properly, because I'm trying to do it around the camera, right? So when we fold it in this way, that's how we get our edging, the corner without raw edges. So this is how we will get our corners. That's how it looks. So, and that's how we get our 1 inch border around our placemat. Right? So this is how this looks like, right? Okay, and I hope the video is clear enough so that you can actually get this border. That was the recording of how I made this border. I hope that was helpful for you, right? So next Wednesday, our regular live streaming session. Today, I did another session after yesterday. It was because this is like making the item. I don't want to make you wait for 1 week to see how the border is made. So that's why I have a continuous series, right? So yesterday we did the quilting and today we put on the border. So next week, what we're going to do, right? We have been making fabrics with strips like this to make this kind of fabric, right? So, and I showed you a few methods of how to use these kind of fabric. We use this kind of fabric to make patch pocket. We use this kind of fabric to cut shapes and do applique, and we also use it to do a placemat like this, right? So now I am showing next week another method to make fabric. Instead of having strips like that, you're making fabrics with crumbs. That are very small pieces fabric that are so small, usually we don't keep them, but I am showing you how you can use crumbs like that, very small pieces. You can still make fabric out of them, and this is what I did for this one fabric here. I put the crumbs together and I made this fabric, this one as well, right? And you can also do bigger pieces like this, right? I can do such a big piece, right? And I will show you how to do that. I did an item with a big piece. This is a floor mat, which the whole process of making this was also recorded so that you can also make a similar floor mat like this. Other than making a floor mat, you can also make small items. I'm going to also show you to make a corsage flower like this. You put a safety pin behind, we can wear it as a corsage on a plain background, either on jackets or things like that. Then we have a statement piece like this, right? Wearing a corsage. So this is a flower corsage. I'm going to show you how to make with this kind of fabric. I call this type of fabric jumble tumble because it's all jumbled up together and tumble up together. So, and then I also have accent. You see, after joining them, I have this kind of strips going through it to make it very busy. So because this fabric is very busy, I have decided to use this and mix it with a plain fabric like this, a white color, to make, so this part is the jumble tumble fabric, and I'm combine them with plain fabric so that it doesn't look the whole piece so busy like this, so busy. This whole piece is very busy, right? So when I combine it with a plain fabric, I make it less busy. And then this strip, I made a very long strip, okay? This strip, I can join a few strips together and still make a fabric out of it. It has its own character and its own look, right? So this kind of strips, what can we do with it? I actually, on the earlier video, you can also go to my Facebook page and check. I showed how I made this pouch. Oh, because this pouch is green color against my green background, the whole pouch is see-through now. Actually, I have an accent here. Here, this is made of square patches, right? The same I can do with this, right? This strip, I can do it on the pouch like this. I didn't prepare that because this pouch is green color, so the green is actually totally disappearing. So, okay, so these are things that are coming up and in the pipeline to show you. The whole process of making the floor mat was recorded. The process of making the corsage, I also have made the recording, and we are going to see them in the weeks to come. I am still developing because I really love the idea that we are using up all our remnant fabrics, our scraps, remnant fabrics, because when we buy 1 meter of fabric, right, we don't use up all the corners of it, and then we have pieces all over leftovers, and I really love to make use of them. Yeah, so I'm really putting my creative mind to use, coming up with different ideas, experimenting with them. Some of the experiment, I will do the experiment with you, and some I would have tested it out. Okay, so just join me live. I hope to do live every Wednesday 11 a.m. If the series, the item needs a second video, then I may do it on Thursday 11 o'clock, just so that the series can finish, the item can finish sooner instead of having to wait for another week, right? So this is my hope to do it for you. Oh, I'm so glad I saw some of you showing me your like. I'm so thankful for all your encouragement. Do share my tutorial video so that more people can know about this, right? And know about my beginner's course and all that. And I'd be so appreciative. Thank you so very much for responding to me with all your likes, which is very encouraging. Yeah, thank you so much. So I will see you again next Wednesday. Yeah, bye-bye.